Let me ask you something. What if the one thing you thought was healthiest, being thin, was actually your biggest health risk? It sounds impossible, right? But for millions of people in India, that might just be the terrifying truth. We're going to dive into what's known as the Indian health paradox.
I mean, it goes against everything we've ever been taught, you know? That thin equals healthy. But what if that simple equation is actually a deadly miscalculation for an entire population? Well, stick around, because we're about to find out exactly why.
You know, researchers have a pretty intense name for this. They're calling it a silent tsunami. And that's a powerful way to put it, isn't it? Because this isn't just about a few people gaining weight. No, this is a massive, systemic wave of metabolic disease that is quietly but completely reshaping India's health, its economy, and, yeah, its entire future.
And a wave like that, well, it comes with a price tag. And it is a staggering one. We're talking 2.4 lakh crore rupees. That's the economic cost of this crisis in India in just 1 year. So yeah, this isn't just a health problem, it is an economic tidal wave.
Okay, so first up, let's really dig into the sheer scale of this so-called tsunami and get a sense of just how fast it's all happening.
And honestly, the speed of this change is just breathtaking. Think about this. In just about 25 years, India's biggest killer completely flipped. It went from being infectious diseases to now lifestyle diseases, things like diabetes and heart conditions. That is a massive and frankly a really worrying transformation.
And the human cost behind those stats is it's terrifying. Heart attacks used to be something you'd worry about in your late 50s, right? Well, today, they're striking Indians in their 30s. Let that sink in. This isn't some far-off problem for the future. It's a full-blown crisis for today's generation right now.
And if we just do nothing, if things keep going the way they are, the future cost is even more alarming. Projections show that by 2060, this crisis could literally swallow up 2.5% of India's entire GDP. That's a 29-fold increase from where we are now. And let's be real, that's just completely unsustainable.
So the big question is, why? Why is this hitting India so hard? Well, a big part of the answer lies in this really strange and, frankly, dangerous biological quirk. It's something called the thin fat paradox. Okay, so at the heart of this whole thing is a biological reality known as the Asian Indian phenotype. What does that mean? It basically means that people of Indian descent have this unique genetic tendency to store fat, but not just anywhere. It's stored deep inside, around the organs. This is what's called visceral fat or abdominal fat. And the crazy part is, this can happen even when someone's overall weight, their BMI, looks totally normal. This specific type of fat is what leads to way higher rates of problems like insulin resistance.
And this is exactly why the old ways of measuring health, like BMI, are so dangerously misleading for Indians. Just look at the numbers for women. If you go by BMI, it looks like the obesity rate is only about 6%. But when you look at the real danger, that hidden abdominal fat, that number skyrockets to almost 40%. That is a massive difference.
So, this all brings us to a really crucial idea. It's called metabolically obese normal weight, or MNOW for short. That's the scientific name for this whole thin fat paradox we've been talking about. It's people who look perfectly healthy on the outside, but on the inside, they're silently battling all the metabolic problems that come with obesity. And just how big is this hidden problem? Well, it's immense. Get this. More than 7 out of every 10 Indian adults, 7 in 10, already have at least one metabolic abnormality. And that's regardless of what they weigh. You can't call that anything other than a ticking time bomb.
But, you know, our biology is only half the story here. The other half? It's the environment. The modern Indian environment has created what is basically a perfect storm for this crisis. It's almost like we've built a system that's designed to make us sick.
I mean, just think about it for a second. We've had this incredibly fast urbanization, an absolute explosion of cheap, ultra-processed foods everywhere you look. Our cities are built for cars, not for people to walk around in. And then you throw in the constant, aggressive marketing for all kinds of unhealthy snacks and drinks. What you end up with is a systemic trap. A trap where just making the healthy choice becomes unbelievably difficult. And yet, where does the blame usually fall? Right on the individual. There's this huge social stigma, this feeling that it's just a personal failing, a lack of willpower. But as we've just seen, it's not that simple. People are trying to navigate a system that is actively pushing them towards disease at every single turn.
So you hear all that, and it's easy to feel completely powerless, right? I mean, how do you fight a whole system? But here's a thought. What if the solution isn't about some huge fight against the system, but about making small, but really powerful changes in your own life?
Okay, so let's get to the good stuff, the action plan. I'm going to give you 3 super simple steps you can take to start reclaiming your health, and you can start them today. All right, we're calling this your Aadat upgrade, your habit upgrade. Step 1 is the Aaj Se Thoda Kam approach. It literally just means a little less from today. So you gradually start to reduce the oil, sugar, and salt in your diet. Simple. Step 2, embrace active commuting. Find ways to walk or cycle, even if it's just for part of your journey. Small changes really do add up. And third, check out the Fit India protocols. They have these great, simple fitness routines you can literally do anywhere.
And look, this isn't just some vague idea we came up with. This Aaj Se Thoda Kam approach is actually backed by national health campaigns. Even the Prime Minister has called on people to reduce oil consumption by a specific, totally achievable target of 10%. It proves that a small step can have a really, really big impact.
You know, in a way, the modern world has kind of hijacked our habits. So the real question is, when are you going to change them back? If you are ready for your own Audit Upgrade and you want more simple, powerful ways to improve your health, then make sure you subscribe to Audit Upgrade. Thanks so much for joining me.